Happening in a matter of hours, the Senate Judiciary Committee set to hold its first hearing over the alleged cover-up of former President Joe Biden's mental decline, a probe that is expected to address growing concerns over who was actually running our country.
Florida Senator Ashley Moody will be at that hearing today, and she joins us now. Senator, good morning to you. So let's go to the witness list first. Former White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer is going to be testifying. A former Trump administration official Theodore Wold, as well as John Harrison, who is a law professor at the University of Virginia. So why were they selected to talk about Joe Biden's mental decline?
Well, look, I think this is the first congressional hearing to probe not just what we're finding out in terms of evidence of decline, but evidence of deceit. And what these witnesses will do will kind of set the stage for what would we expect from a commander-in-chief who is operating at full capacity? What should we have expected on those surrounding him? What would they have known? Of course, you know, Sean Spicer worked in the White House. And to what extent did the media participate in this cover-up? You know, it is no longer in doubt whether or not the president was operating in a way that we would expect from a commander-in-chief. We know that there was evidence of decline, and not just what we were watching play out on television in terms of mixing up names of foreign national leaders, but you know, we now know that people were limiting his access to the cabinet, limiting the amount of time he was working. I mean, that is a dangerous, dangerous state to be in when you have policies that are unfolding that are creating a very dangerous national security here in our own country. And so those things are playing out right now. We're uncovering the evidence of that. And this congressional hearing is meant to just be a first inquiry into whether or not handlers were at the helm, or whether or not it was, in fact, Biden operating the country.
Going back to these witnesses, that's quite a burn to the Democrats, being like, OK, we're going to show you an example of how a president is supposed to act, and our example is going to be Donald Trump, supported by witnesses who worked under Donald Trump. The Democrats are not going to like that, and it turns out, Senator, your colleagues on the other side of the aisle really just don't like the hearing in total. Take a listen.
We have so many important topics to consider, and that is a totally political undertaking by several of my colleagues. It is a waste of this committee's time.
OK, on that point of waste of time, to prevent it from ultimately being a waste of time in total, will anyone ultimately be held responsible with actual consequences if they are proven to have been complicit in the Joe Biden mental decline cover-up?
I can think of no more important topic right now than when we're uncovering evidence that this president may not have understood exactly what was going on. And remember, as Attorney General, I kept pointing out how radical these things that were being pushed out of the White House. I mean, they went against things that Democrats and Republicans had agreed upon as long as our country has been a country. And when you have those kinds of policies coming out, I mean, look at what they just announced yesterday. 0 people pushed into the interior of this country that have come over our border in a month. Compare that to the height of the Biden administration when they had lost all control. They were talking about losing control of the border, having to step back and let everybody flow in. They actually had quotas to push more people into the interior. It was hundreds of thousands of people a month. We're now at 0. There was a derelict of duty, and whether that was intentional by this president or whether that was a lack of his ability to run the country, I think the latter is probably true. And whether or not he had these radical handlers around him covering it up, that has to be of great importance to this country, because let's face it, we are the greatest country on this earth. We set the stage for relations and security for the rest of the world. You cannot have a president that is asleep at the wheel, and certainly those that fostered that and allowed that to happen have to be held accountable.
Yes, Senator, it's a great point. Tom Homan posted in the last 24 hours, the Border Patrol encountered a total of 95 illegal aliens across the entire southern border. That is the lowest number ever recorded. Glad you brought that up, because that is a notable post to get to. Senator Ashley Moody, thank you so much for joining us ahead of your very busy day. We appreciate it.
Great to be with you.
Thank you for those opening statements. The minority did not call any witnesses for today's hearing. They have chosen to ignore the hearing as they chose to ignore President Biden's mental decline. But we do have a short video of some previous statements from the Biden administration officials and Democrat Party officials telling us not to believe our lying eyes. We can play the video.
Does the president have the stamina, physically and mentally, do you think, to continue on even after 2024?
Don, you're asking me this question. Oh my gosh, he's the president of the United States. You know, I can't even keep up with him.
The most difficult part about a meeting with President Biden is preparing for it, because he is sharp, intensely probing, and detail-oriented and focused.
I can testify because I've been working very closely with this president for the past 2 years. I've been knowing him for 30 years. And I'm telling you, this guy's tough. He's smart. He's on his game.
Joe Biden has vision. He has knowledge. He has a strategic thinker.
The president is focused. He's detail-oriented. He's always thinking about the big picture.
He is engaging. He is capable. He has an incredible record as president.
And I'm often with him on foreign trips. He's at the top of his game.
So he has a vision. He has knowledge. He has judgment. He has a strategic thinking.
I met with the president, 5 or 6 weeks ago, and he seemed fine to me.
I have complete confidence in the president. I have watched him expertly guide meetings of staff and cabinet members. I could not have more confidence in the president.
I would just tell you that I meet frequently with the president, and every single time I meet with him, he is just fine.
But he is, again, knowledgeable, wise.
Incredibly sharp, incredibly probing, incredible command of the details.
He is sharp. He is on top of things.
There is nothing to these challenges, these suggestions that somehow he's not sharp and he's not capable.
We see Joe Biden up close. We know how attuned he is to the issue.
And you're going to see how smart he is and the experience he has.
I say his age is an asset.
Aha!
He's wise.
Yes, he's wise. He has wisdom. He has experience.
And his experience, because of his age and his wisdom, has been invaluable to this country.
A lot of countries, people who've been in office a longer period of time are praised for their wisdom.
I have seen a lot of 72-year-olds not as capable as this 80-year-old.
It is hard for us to keep up with this president.
His mental acuity is great. It's fine. It's as good as it's been over the years. He's fine. All this right-wing propaganda that his mental acuity has declined is wrong.
And this kind of sense that he's not ready for this job is just a bucket of BS that's so deep, your boots will get stuck in it.
Thank you. Senator Cruz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Biden administration may go down in history as the most brazen constitutional fraud in American history. A Potemkin presidency fronted by a failing puppet with staffers behind the scenes pulling the strings. This is not political hyperbole. The American people saw it with their own eyes during the June 2024 debate. Numerous times, Biden stood frozen behind the podium, mouth agape, eyes frozen and unblinking. When he did speak, his words were confused and disjointed. I said that night, this is the most consequential presidential debate in history because it will result in one of the two candidates being removed from the ballot. That was exactly right. And following that debate, the Democrats recognized the collapse. They pulled out their knives and took out President Biden like Caesar on the Ides of March. For all of their strutting about, protesting that they support democracy. Not a one of them gave a damn about democracy when they pulled Biden off the ballot and dropped Kamala Harris in without a single Democrat primary voter voting for him. And you know what? Not a single Democrat is here today because not a single one of them gives a damn about the fact that they lied to the American people for 4 years. They knew. Every one of them knew that Joe Biden was mentally not competent to do the job. The White House press secretary, she knew when she stood in front of the American people and lied over and over and over again, and they're not here because they can't defend themselves. It wasn't a surprise For 4 years, the White House hid President Biden from Republican senators. Would not let him meet with us. He served 40 years in this body. We all know him. And they deliberately lied. And by the way, Jake Tapper had a bombshell book exposing the incredible scandal that Biden's mental decline was covered up by Jake Tapper. There's a Yiddish word, chutzpah. And that truly is chutzpah. How dare we lie and cover up what we all knew? Now, I have been asked literally 1,000 times by Texans, who was running the country? And I'm going to give you the most terrifying answer. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. And not a single Democrat here cares. The most telling proof of Biden's decline came with the signature of the president, the symbol of executive authority that was outsourced to a machine. Mr. Wold, you're a lawyer who served in the White House counsel's office. You understand the gravity of presidential action. Does the president's signature carry legal and constitutional weight under Article 2?
Yes.
Is the act of signing an executive order or signing a law or granting a pardon a delegable duty of the president?
So in that opinion in 2005 from OLC, they said essentially that an Autopen could be used by a subordinate, but the president's determination as to sign the document can never be delegated.
Can that authority be transferred to a staffer or a machine without the president's explicit authorization?
Never.
And if you look at the statistics are stunning. In 2021, President Biden issued 78 executive orders. None were signed with an Autopen. That first year of the presidency, Biden, I suppose, was relatively lucid, and 78 executive orders he signed by hand. The second year, however, we see the Autopen emerge. The first Autopen executive order was issued on July 15th, 2022. After that day, 100% of the executive orders issued in 2022 were signed by an Autopen. In 2023, Biden issued 24 executive orders. 16 were Autopenned. In 2024, Biden issued 19. 14 were Autopenned. In 2025, Biden issued 14 executive orders. Every single one was Autopenned. Mr. Wold, let me ask you as a legal matter, if there's a law that's passed both houses of Congress and it goes to the White House, and a staffer autopens signing that law without the president's authorization, is that law legally passed and signed into law?
No.
If an executive order is issued and a staffer autopens it without the president's authorization, is that executive order legally binding?
No.
And if a pardon is issued from the President of the United States and a staffer autopens it without the President's authorization, is that pardon legally binding?
No.
Under the Biden White House, the ceremonial song, Hail to the Chief, was effectively replaced with Hail to the Pen. And it was an outright assault on democracy. And every reporter covering this ought to ask, why doesn't a Democrat care? We heard about the moral responsibilities of a staffer. How about an elected senator who knows damn well that if we get into a war and Iran is preparing to fire a nuclear weapon at the United States, that the commander-in-chief is busy playing with his Jell-O and is not competent to defend ourselves? And every member of the cabinet, the chief of staff, the press secretary, and the members of Congress who lied about this on a daily basis with the press's complicity, they are all responsible for subverting democracy.
Senator Cornyn.